Brian Phillips, the President and CEO of Bigbelly Solar, LLC. If I were to give you an overview of what Bigbelly is right this second, Bigbelly is the world leader in smart waste and recycling systems for public spaces. But where we're going is going to be, rather different than that. We're a complete waste solution for public spaces. We always build ourselves only as a smart waste company, and ultimately that pigeonholed us into only certain customers that want us to be a smart waste company, or with customers that only want us to be a solar compactor company. So we were stuck in these places, and really, I'm kind of getting the punchline at Topline, but a lot of what we learned about ourselves through this process was how, no, that's not really what you are or what you should be. You're really a complete, you need to be a complete waste solution for public spaces, and that was a big change for us. All right, so background of the company's been around since 2003. It's actually founded in 2003, and the whole concept was, public space waste is really inefficient. It's garbage cans are placed in cities and parks and so on about every 400 feet or so, and it's pretty expensive to collect them all. You've got to have two guys in an expensive truck going around, compactor truck that gets 2.5 miles per gallon, and two people doing it, and to touch those cans. And in most cities and towns, it's of medium size. It's at least once a day. In busy cities, it's 2-3 times a day. In really big cities like New York City, it could be 6 times a day that the bins fill up. So a pretty inefficient process. So the concept was, golly gee, if I can put more capacity down there, I can collect it less. So the first phase was a solar compactor that could compact the waste and essentially fit about 5 times the capacity in the same spot on the sidewalk, 5 times the capacity of a regular bin. And, that worked to some extent. But, you still didn't know when the bin was full. So in a garbage can, you don't ever really want it to overflow. So it'd be nice to know when you're getting close to being full, because then that's the optimum time to go out and get it. As the technology became available in the time period of 2009-10, the telematics came into play to where the bins could report their fullness. At first, it started out as an option, and then it became standard on every unit we sold. It was also roughly that same time that units that didn't compact were added for recycling and so on. So not everybody needed the capacity of a compactor everywhere, but adding both the telematics to know when to go, and then non-compacting units for recycling or lower volume areas happen roughly at the same time. In 2019, we had investor change and with private equity. It was really Q3 of 2021 that we made the decision to, all right, we internally, the executive team, beginning of last year, started thinking, okay, how do we really, grow this thing fast? And then we started working with our private equity investor on it in Q3, and that's when we all decided, let's go get some outside help. The real catalyst was somebody asked internally, all of us in a meeting one day, it's like, why are some of our customers really, really happy with Bigbelly, and why do some others buy some and then not buy any more? And we really seek to answer that question, because we figured that was at the root at what might be limiting our growth. And that's when it really got our gears turning on what might be going on out there. And we really need somebody that's not connected to the company to go out and really poll the customers and get the honest feedback that we need to really understand ourselves. And, because when we go out and talk to our customers, they'll either say you're great or you're not great, but it might be, for whatever reason at that moment. But getting some really unbiased feedback we felt was really important. And that was the catalyst. You know, we're not a massive company, so we knew we weren't going to go to the extremes of a huge consulting firm. That's out of our league. But we also weren't feeling that this was kind of a one-person consulting sort of thing. And so honestly, the Topline group felt like the right size team, and well matched for Bigbelly. And we had a good recommendation, and they were correct. So Topline came in and explained to us, hey, here's how our process is going to work. We didn't make one up and say, hey, we want you to do it like this. What I didn't want to do was we end up in a process where it's like, here, go do a project for us and then come back with an answer 8 weeks later, or whatever it is, without a lot of checking in the middle. And I know no project would really go exactly that way. But what we really liked about what they proposed is that we would have weekly check-ins where there would be reporting all the way through, an interim report, and all these sorts of things. And it was an agile kind of thing, similar to what you do in engineering. And that worked really well. We all felt like we were very much in sync the whole way through. And there was always the crunch times where one side or the other had to do a whole bunch of stuff. And that was great because, you know, you really, there weren't lots of days lost waiting on something to get done, or you went, you know, you're waiting because there's just not a lot of communication. The communication was very good. The most primary factor that Topline came back was the need to expand our portfolio so that we have a solution for more of our customer base. So today we were limited to a relatively small piece of our market segment. And through their research, by adding a few additional products to our product portfolio, we will now expand our total available market substantially, the market that we can go serve. So that was one. Another very important point that they figured out was a number of issues that we had that we weren't sure about, but really confirmed it, that we really need to resolve and to make the product that much more better, our services better, how we deal with the customer better. So things that detract from customers having a great experience. So that's the other key to this whole thing, is to really take those detractors away so that more of the customers that do get involved, stay involved with Bigbelly and want to continue to work with Bigbelly in the future. From the Topline research, it really gave us very good confidence to expand our portfolio, which does a couple things. One is it expands, you know, by functionality, what markets we can serve, but also by price point. There were a number of markets within the public waste space that we really couldn't get to at the price points that we had. So expanding the portfolio also brought the cost of our overall solution down substantially, and which is an enabler for many of our markets, and it enables us to expand it. What we solved in 2009 was a good number of the customers wanted to know when it was time to pick up that bin, because they did not want to be bothered till they absolutely had to. Not every customer wants to work that way, but a good number of them did, and they needed to maximize their productivity one way or another. What we learned in this journey, since that was the beginning, is that's not the only reason that you might want that technology on there. And in fact, for most all of our customers, the number one reason, as we've learned over the years, and they've come to love Bigbelly, is it really keeps the public space a lot cleaner and beautiful by knowing when an overflow is happening, or a bin's going to overflow, or there's a problem with it, and the squirrels and all the critters are getting all the trash out of it, or something like that. And we call these the beautification benefits that it has. And the technology helps enable that to happen. so there's going to be new things that happen, and we're seeing new things coming about, and some of them will stick and some won't, where there's actually a need to use the technology to do something else. And we're seeing a lot of interest in, for example, in the composting arena on how the smarts and the intelligence of the bin might be able to benefit that. On the other hand, there's other aspects where you don't need all that technology out there. And for example, you have a really big park and you've got a lot of bins in that park. They don't really all need to be smart. Probably one of them needs to be smart to make sure to let you know that the soccer park got hit by a whole bunch of people that weekend. Otherwise, it lays dormant most of the time. So, you apply the technology where the technology needs to be applied, and it really brings real value. But what I will say is you never know what value it might end up bringing, because we've learned over all the years that some of those things surprise you, like the beautification benefit that you get from it, not just productivity. And that ends up being, really a common thing that is almost more popular than anything else.